I got Dawn from North Carolina, ADOS family. How you doing today, Dawn?
Hi, I'm good, Clinton.
How's everything?
Everything's good.
Great,
Today's
great.
my birthday. I'm feeling good.
So,
it's all good.
So tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I live in North Carolina. I come from a financial background. I'm a unicorn. And I would say that everything about me is ADOS-like. I'm a poster child for the ADOS unicorn.
I see that you.
I've been affiliated since February, and yeah.
I see that you guys organized the fish fry, and you had set up an ADOS table. Explain how you guys did that.
Well, those are two separate events. So the fish fry was Jim Clyburn fish fry, and so I guess originally the whole South Carolina thing started after we had a first meeting in North Carolina, and I actually invited Dr. Darity and his wife because they're right here in Chapel Hill. And his wife, Kristen Mullen, who is renowned in her own right, suggested that we read some of the history on SNCC, things they did. I did that, and of course it was talking about the Freedom Ride. And so about that time, it just became clear that Joe Biden was seen as a front runner, and that was just unacceptable. And, I was constantly thinking about ways to alter that. And so things came together, and I said, you know what? We should do Freedom Rides. We should do our own ADOS Freedom Rides down to South Carolina. Why can't we do that? So long story short, that all came together, and that was kind of the impetus, which then evolved into a couple of different iterations. But ultimately, I found out about the fish fry, and so we decided to come down from North Carolina, from the Research Triangle area, which is Raleigh, Durham, and also down in Charlotte. And then we had Jamie Fowler. He was already there. As a matter of fact, we didn't really know each other then. And that's how we got there to the fish fry. And basically handed out flyers. And we had flyers printed out before we came down. And that's essentially what we did, made our presence known.
Oh, so basically it was like real groundwork, hand to hand, letting everybody know word of mouth what ADOS is about, referring them to ADOS101.com and so forth and so on.
Precisely. We had a nice, that was the original plan. This time, when you do stuff like this on the ground, it's the nitty-gritty work, just to put it mildly, and, sometimes, things go perfectly, and sometimes they don't, but as long as you have the message and you're on code, and if you were there, then it's a success.
So you guys were passing out flyers, letting them know, listen, this is what the data is saying, this is what's going on. Because a lot of times I notice that people will see it and hear it, but don't understand the data is the data and it's not changing. You can't change numbers.
True.
Okay.
At this point, we're so new out on the ground. Not new because, of course, most people have been here long before I came along in February. But I think we're new on the ground, and that's the next phase. That's the phase we're in, and that's where I came in. And that fits my personality more so. But, so we came in, we're on the ground, and that's a new phase, and I think that's a whole new learning experience for us. But our goal right now, I think, is to introduce introduce ourselves. That's a huge thing right there. And the type of materials you hand out can determine how effective that first contact will be.
Okay. So I know that you had an opportunity to go to the first inaugural ADOS conference.
Right.
How was that experience? And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that was great. I mean, it was everything that I would have hoped it would have been, and then some. So there was a lot of fellowship, and then we like to have a good time no matter where we are. We always find a way. But aside from the conference being so well structured and laid and orchestrated, we had boxed lunches, and we even had a veggie option, which I was very impressed with. So it was very professionally done. We were very much welcomed, and it was like a family reunion.
Wow.
And but aside from that, a few of us got a house, an Airbnb house, and so we had a lot of people coming through there, and it was really cool because the house is huge, and we probably had maybe 20 people, 15 to 20 people at a time, with people flowing through. But it was just like in each corner of the house, in the middle, it was like out of the 60s. Each corner you went to, everyone was talking about ADOS. We were drinking and partying, but instead of talking about some nonsense, everybody was talking about a different aspect of the movement and how to push it forward. It was very inspirational. And Travis Johnson from Texas was there, and he is organizing the March on Selma on March 27th and 28th and 2020. So he was there, and he did a prayer circle, and it was just beautiful. And in the marching orders that we got, the clarification, was good. And I had hoped to go there and that we were going to come away. I knew we were going to come away energized, and that's why I was so excited. I think most people were excited because we knew, or I felt like once we left there, we'd be on fire, we'd be ready, the path would be that much more clearer.
Yeah, I didn't have the opportunity to attend next year, most definitely, God willing. I mean, the energy just from not even going, just from seeing all the faces, seeing the pictures, seeing the videos, it was inspirational. And I know that the March on Selma is gonna be monumental as well. I'm gonna ask you about the conference. Were you surprised that Marianne Williamson was the only presidential candidate that showed up?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Why do you think no one else has gotten to this? You think they're scared of their base, or just don't? Because traditionally,
because I think politicians are mercenaries, and they want to go and they want to be liked. And I think that for instance, Tulsi Gabbard, she was supposed to come, and she was all down, and Nico House, is her black dude. And so they were like, oh no, we're down with the conference, and Tulsi doesn't, if the debate isn't scheduled on that day, then Tulsi's there, and it's like, wow, it's good, and I took this on, I'm patting myself on the back, and I just step back, and then she doesn't show up.
Wow.
She didn't show up, and so I think between February-ish, when the possibility was floating out there that, it was all cool and ADOS wasn't understood, I know people didn't, the DNC and everybody who actually does know about us, they didn't know who we were. And we were an opportunity. I think probably more savvy politicians were like, yeah, we know we're not going there because they're too, we're radical, relatively speaking. What we want is not radical, but our approach. And I was thinking that Tulsi Gabbard was gonna, she's an underdog, and like maybe she would want to shore up some support. She was going to be the first mover and get down with ADOS, and then that we were going to buoy her forward. Maybe not to winning, although I think she could have won until she messed up with us.
Yeah,
she just didn't show up, and it just shows, they're just mercenaries, they're duplicitous, and I think we became too hot of a potato for them to handle, revealing their lack of courage. So, later for her, yeah. I had a yard sign. I went out and pulled up my yard sign. I'm just done.
Yeah, I don't think, in my personal opinion, I don't think they haven't seen nothing like this within the DNC since the 60s. I don't think they've seen anything that's catching on, that's getting as much grassroots, because we aren't in wartime. The 60s was easy because of civil rights, and they were in wartime. A lot of the country had a lot of consciousness going on. Now it's more of you're either pro-Trump, against Trump. The DNC, their whole thing is immigration or LGBTQ, and it's like, what else are y'all talking points, but I know that November 13th is a big day as well. November 13th of this year. You have something planned for the Capitol, huh?
Well, Tone has something planned for the Capitol, and, that's what we're here for. To, execute, enforce our position. And the call was put out, and the call is answered. It's our duty. But, so we're going to be out there. I just asked, put it out there on Twitter, but it's nothing that everyone already wasn't thinking, which is the beauty of being on the same page. So I was just the first one to mention it. I'm not the first one to think of it, I'm sure.
And this is This
We're trying to get out there. This is imperative that we get out there. And I tell you, ADOS is very empowering. And I think, I feel like we can do anything. That's me personally, as long as we're focused. I think that we are going to get Comcast to drop this.
And this is the lawsuit that Byron Allen has against Comcast for challenging the Civil Rights Act of 1866.
Correct, and that if they are successful in overturning the Ninth District ruling, essentially what we're talking about is that instead of having to prove that race is one of the reasons you've been discriminated against, it has to be proved as the singular reason, which, as Antonio Moore and attorney has, educated us on, and that of course is the case, that is a difficult, almost impossible standard to prove. So the thing, if we take it further, that means that if we can't sue, if we can't hold the other side of the contract accountable, that means we can make contracts that can't be enforced. It means you can't go and say that you didn't get the job because you're of your lineage. You can't say that you were fired because of your lineage. And what makes it even more complicated is that we're called minorities. And so in this case, you have minorities, which you can include, minorities, gays, whatever, and you can say, yes, I'm black. So, yeah, that's one of the factors.
And it's amazing.
But if you say only then they can always say, well, we're hiring, we've got women here, so of course it's not race because we're doing business with these other quote unquote minorities.
Yes.
We're not discriminating against you because you're ADOS. It's
yes.
because we don't like, the ties you wear. And that's against our policy.
And the amazing thing about this law, and this is going to be for the people that's listening, is that this law is actually the baseline for DACA. This law is the reason how these immigrants and the reason why the DNC has been pushing the immigrants to be able to come into the country. And they have not been able to sign or to fill out amicus briefs in support of Byron Allen, except a couple now because ADOS has been pushing. Now I guess Kamala Harris and a few others have filled out amicus briefs in regards to Byron Allen.
Yeah, thank God that, we have Antonio Moore to have been able to bring this to our attention because, we'd be going right down the same path as, the gutting of the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act and affirmative action. So thank the universe that we have Antonio Moore to bring this up, and I do think he has been instrumental in highlighting this issue, and he will be the reason why we are successful if we are successful. But I think bringing this and now holding politicians to the fire, now we have additional leverage.
Yes.
Have you signed a solicitation, responded, have you written a letter of support or amicus brief? And one other thing that we've been working on, there are various, projects going on out here, but we had a campaign where we solicited support and amicus briefs, wrote letters, petition, just a various multi-pronged approach. And I would dare say that we have been slightly successful, to put it mildly. So I think that's the beauty of advocacy here at these levels, is finding the people that are, willing to put shyness and, put their own discomfort and come out of their comfort zone and, get out here on the ground, because at the end of the day, we have to bring on new ADOS. We have to switch on those lights as quickly as possible.
Yes, definitely. Well, Dawn, do you have anything else? Do you have any advice for us going forward?
Yeah, I do, and I wanted to go back to South Carolina because the most recent was the Jubilee, and it was, I want to give advice on how to participate in these local events. Eventbrite is a great way to do it. Find out what kind of events that are going on, indoor, outdoor, where you can go, you can hand out flyers, you can contact me, and I can help you, with some flyers that we have that are general flyers. So I want to put us out there, put myself out there as a resource for materials. And then we also can help people get a banner. The setup that we had at Jubilee, we basically, in the spirit of we're going to do freedom rides and try to go get to South Carolina as many times as feasible before the primary, with the hopes of making sure that Joe Biden doesn't win, or there is no clear winner there. We wanted to make a dent in the numbers down there. So this event was happening. It's the annual event, Jubilee. They have a couple of tents out there about African American history here. So we just went. We got a 6-foot fold-up table. We applied or filled out the vendor information. We sent the $30 or whatever it was. Bought a tablecloth. Got a banner that said ADOS. Went to the website, printed out like ADOS 101 pages, the Black Agenda, and some couple other things, put them in a binder, just set them out on the table like when you go to a conference, and then we had a sign-up sheet, which I would suggest that you use a tablet or put it in your phone. So when you go to transcribe later, it's a nightmare. You think you're going to be able to read it later. But just by doing that, you're able to touch all these people. You're somewhere where Black people are already going to be. If you set up a table, it's very professional. And that's a way to, that you can gather emails, and then at a later date, you can contact people and say, hey, we're going down to the Supreme Court November 13th. We're going to be out there. We're going to be organizing and figure out, what kind of statement we're going to make, but we're going to be there. Can you come?
Okay. That sounds great. Sounds like a plan moving forward.
So, yeah, I think people should just keep it small. Do what you can do. If you hand out a flyer, if you talk to one people, all that's a win. Everything's a win. And we're filling a 60-year vacuum. Everything's a win.
Yes. All right, Dawn. Thank you a lot. I'm glad you could join us tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks for asking.
All right.